Welcome to the Bay Area Women's Theater Festival Amplify Artist Conversations. I am Tina D'Elia. I'm an instigator on the Amplify team. With theaters closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our Amplify 24-hour performance event, originally scheduled at Brava Theater for April 18th and 19th, with 70-plus performances by over 200 artists, is on hold, but we refuse to allow the need for social distancing to keep us from amplifying our amazing women and non-binary and trans artists' work. So today we are in conversation with the incredible Andréa Spearman, who is the artistic director of Spearman and Co, a contemporary dance fusion company that was founded in 2012. Andréa Spearman, who has spent 20 plus years as a student, teacher, choreographer, and performer of a variety of modern-based movement. You can find out more about Andréa's work on her website, www.spearmanandco.org. And I'll give that again. It's spearmanandco.org. And a donation to her work can go through her website to her PayPal, which is www.paypal.me at AndreaSpearman, or her Venmo, which is at Dramos1 at DREAMOS1. You can also follow Andréa Spearman and her dance company at Spearman Co. So today, let's start our conversation with the incredible Andréa, and we'll continue to talk with her and listen about her journey. Her work that she was going to present is called JUSTus. Welcome, Andréa.
Hi.
Hi. How are you
Hello.
doing? Hello. How are you doing?
I am surprisingly doing well despite our shelter in place that's going on right now. Also, just to clarify, website is aspearmanandco.org.
Thank you. Spearman.
Yes. Yes.
Co. Thank you.
And Co. A-N-D.
And Co. Spearman at and Co. Spearman and Co. Thank you, Andréa.
Yes, Andréa and the people.
Andréa and the people.
Yes. So I'm feeling particularly well. I feel like I've been taking this shelter in place very seriously and also not seriously in a sense that artists do. Still taking time to step outside briefly and get that sunshine, that vitamin D, the fresh air, and also create dance movements, letting the air and wind and the little bit of foliage I have around me just kind of inspire me and take me with it at times. I started committing to teaching a couple tutorials of excerpts of some of my work on Fridays. That's been a fun experience so far. I did that on Facebook Live these past 2 Fridays. And I think it's fun because those two pieces have probably been seen and presented the most in the past year and a half, perhaps. And I think for my supporters and some of my other artist colleagues, I know for me, it's really fun to, I know that Alvin Ailey, they usually have a, what do you call it? Oh, a flash mob. Sorry. They have a flash mob where people can learn some of the moves from Revelations and then perform it out in front of Zellerbach. So I'm like, that is such a great thing to be able to look at an artist's work that you've admired and be able to learn even just a section of it for your own kind of pleasure and joy, and really feel like you're connecting with this artist, really feel like you're engaging with an artist who's creating work that you love to see, something that relates to you, something that bonds to you. And I just thought I would take my little time, since we're all inside, to take a moment to, not forget to neglect, those who have supported me. And I don't want to, leave them unsupported as well, because we did have so many different events planned. So if I can just give back a little piece, like, oh, now this particular section. Next time you see it, you be like, oh, I remember that, and do it in your chair next time you see us. Or we might have further offerings once we're all back outside together.
That's incredibly inspiring and generous and exciting. Um, I'd love to hear also about the inspiration behind your piece, Justice, Just Us. Was that something that was evolved through other pieces you were doing, or it came separate as an idea?
Yes, I'm nodding my head. Yes. So it started back in 2016 when originally I was asked to be a part of this show called Matters. Um, Carla Service of Dance Division, who they are a primarily hip hop dance organization that exists at the Malanga Cascalord Center in downtown Oakland. And she's been a part of the dance community for decades. And she created this showcase called Matters. And she was asking artists to bring, like, what matters to you in this moment right now. And for me, there were so many different situations, Sandra Bland, uh, and various other female victims of police violence. And it was really in the midst of the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement. And at that time, I felt like there was a lot of focus on Black men and Black boys. And for me, I'm like, well, what about the women? What about the women and girls and children who have also been terrorized by police, who have also been under duress and nay, I say genocidal perspectives from the police? Because as a people, Black people have a historical indifference and fear of police and authority figures. So for me, that was what was on my mind in the current events and in the current mindset of myself and many of my peers during that time. And so it started off really with that impetuous to say, okay, what about Black women? And I started creating this piece kind of with the for us, by us movement, and thought process, creating this work choreographically by me, but also inspired by the women who danced with me and inspired by those who had passed, those who are now not with us. And it started out in 2016 as movement, with costumes, and the costumes really reflected kind of a resilience of the African American woman with roots tying back to Africa, with our past history as warriors, as leaders, and really synthesizing and fusing African diasporic movement and infusing that with modern technique. And it started off with just the movement, and at the end of the physical piece, there was a speech that was said by me. And at the end of the speech, like, and even though I was very much out of breath after all that jumping and leaping and twirling and giving it to the people, I had this speech afterwards. And my mom actually questioned me, like, are you sure you want to talk after all that? And I'm like, yes, I want them to hear the exhaustion, the tiredness, the anger, the rage, the upsetness. It's like the emotion. I want them to hear that. It's like, I want that to be part of the narrative. And part of the last bits of my speech was take off your blue. And that is specifically a call out to police officers who are in that behavior, who are not correcting their colleagues, those who are in it and those who behave that way. Not all police persons, but those who are in it and behave that way. And since then, it's evolved to include a media presentation that has files and images and words of Black women, various Black women who were killed by police violence, and a list of names that has since only grown. And even from that, I think that full performance with the media presentation, like a PowerPoint, was presented at the Soma Arts Cultural Center in San Francisco. And since then, like, I've been doing small excerpts of the piece because I still feel like it's definitely still relevant, and it's definitely still a developing and an ongoing piece. Like, there's no end to the work because there's no end to the issue at hand.
Yes.
And so what was going to come forth and be shown at this particular moment on what would have been the festival, the piece was going to encapsulate the movement, the speech, the PowerPoint. I had a live poet who I had commissioned to create another spoken word piece that I was doing a solo to as she recited. I was adding in a larger group of women to act as a choir, act as a choir, and also as a group of protesters to flesh out the piece even more and add more bodies to the room. Different Black women of various sizes, shapes, ages, shades, different, just different Black women of all variations to really bring home the point that it could happen to any one of us, and that it has happened to any one of us. And just to give more of a breadth. And in our performance this past February 29th at the Black Choreographers Festival, we did an excerpt where it was just my sister and I. She's part of the co. She's always the co, my younger sister, who is also a beautiful dancer and a proficient reverend of the gospel. So it's an interesting interweaving of personalities that we have in my company. And we did the piece with just the two of us, and we had the live poet, and we also had some caution tape up. And I think that really struck a nerve for the audiences at that time. And I also wanted to bring that to this performance. And I'm truly saddened that Corona has taken that away.
I
But it
hear
will
you.
still come to being.
I know and believe that it'll be coming to being, and I love all of the work and commitment and dedication uh, and creative development you've done. And I hear you. I'm like, darn it, especially because now. Yesterday I watched some of your work on YouTube. Today I watched more of your work on YouTube. So I love that today I was able to watch some of the Black Women Lives Matter and part of the piece, and then you speaking at the end, as you were saying. I think that was part of the work you just described. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
In fact,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was your family member because I I'm not sure if your mom was recording, but it was very touching because then there was a lot. There was much love and accolation after your performance and your dance group's performance, and
It probably
and
was her. She's always that voice in the audience. Yes, yes, you tell them. Everybody knows how parents can be, and it's like
Mhm.
I feel very grateful to have um, a mother and father who both support my art
Mm,
and support me as an artist, and are willing to sometimes be a part of the performance. Sometimes they are the co as well.
love it. Um, and I
Yes,
and I
so
love.
there's. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, particularly my mother, she has acted as a live dramaturg during
Mm,
one of the pieces previously performed by myself and my sister. It was a poem by Nikki Giovanni, and the title I cannot recall for the life of me right now, but it's about Black history, it's about time, it's about, she references the 9/11 incident, she represents. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott. It's a lot of variation of like moving through time and being our sisters and our brothers' keepers. Like, we have to hold each other up. And having her be a part of that performance was fun and also um just prolific for people to see, like, oh wait, that's your mom and your sister. Like, yes, it's very much family oriented. And for me personally, I do like to work with my family, but also any dancers or vocalists or poets or stage crew type people, I like to treat them as I would my own family. I like everyone to be comfortable and feeling safe and trustworthy in making these creations come to life.
I'm snapping. That's phenomenal. So I saw whether it was an excerpt of that piece, you dancing with your sister and your mom on the mic.
Yes, we were
Yes,
both wearing all black, and it looks
yes,
like it's an enclosed space. Was
yes.
that
I
it?
loved it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yes, that's the piece, and it was actually that was for, um there is a wonderful, wonderful woman named Regina Evans,
Mm-hmm.
and she is a dramaturg, a performer, director, stage play writer, activist, abolitionist, just wonderful conjure woman who has a what do you call it? A vintage clothing store that also acts as a hub for um her work that she does with sex trafficking victims.
Mm.
And that evening was a celebration of all that she does. It was her birthday, and so there were different artists, including myself, including various singers and vocalists that she works with, a short fashion show with the young ladies that she works with. So that was really a night of like celebration and connection and just holding close.
That's great. And I'm making sure keep echoing, Andrea, that your work is on YouTube for people to see if they happen
Yes.
before they get to see you and your co again live. Um, I would love to hear more about your journey as an artist, finding your voice. As how you crafted your art form.
Oh, yes. For me, it started many years ago. I know probably people won't guess it when they look at me or when they see pictures of me, but I've been dancing for 20 plus years.
Mm,
And it started as a young child, and my mother actually put me in one of our Christmas plays at church. And the person who was over our dance department at that time, she choreographed the dance and I was a part of it because I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. You know, little kids, they kind of like, whatever. So I did the piece in the show, and once we were finished, I think it was a song about, I think it was a Little Drummer Boy song, but it was kind of like a remix or something. There's
mhm,
always lovely remixes of all the holiday hits. um, but after that performance, and once like we got started getting all the applause, and people were like, "That was so great," something like sparked in me, like, "Okay, I like that. Like, I like this. This attention was great. Like, doing this dance was great. It felt fun to do. I'm surrounded by my peers. Like, I kind of like this." And so I started uh, being more participatory in our dance department at my church, and under the leadership of PJ Phillips, and she was really the one who sparked that joy in me. And she's also the person who sparked my affinity for passion within technique and not technique alone. Um, because although we were in a church setting, she hammered into us weekly. Like, we would have our hands on backs of chairs doing our ballet warm ups, our foundational ballet, going from first position, tendus, all that good stuff, doing some modern contemporary movement, doing some Dunham technique, doing Horton. And this was basically unheard of in a kind of spiritual church setting. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I'm like really learning fundamental dance, but in a way that's spiritual. And for me, that kind of started that spark. And she and I still talk to this day, and like we talk all the time about. She's like, I'm so proud of the work you're doing. And I was like, I'm proud of you for continuing to be just amazing. And for starting that kind of seed in me. And then I got to high school and I joined our Skyline High School's performing arts department, where I started to flourish in the dance department, in the vocal department, started doing plays, and really just branched out into the community, doing shows at the Malanga, um, just really implanting myself more into the artist community. And I want to say, I went off to college at Sacramento State, and I started studying in the theater department there, and then I also came back to Oakland, started studying at the theater and dance department um, at Laney College, and just as I came back here to Oakland, like just seeing the different artist environments and the scene here, I just got truly inspired more, and my work has really been about things that inspire me, which is it could be anything. I've let myself be open to letting various things inspire me, whether it be current events, whether it be for a specific festival that I thought, oh, this looks like fun. I would love to be involved. I love when folks give prompts because then they give you something to think about that sparks you to think about something else. There's been different holidays that I've enjoyed, different movements, different books, different uh text. I could be inspired just by a song itself, and like, that people, there's so much great music in the world, and I like to listen to a variation of music because my father exposed me to so many different genres when I was younger, just like Cuban jazz and throat singing and yodeling and just all different kinds of like world music, along with all the pop and R&B I was going to hear, and like gospel music that I was going to hear naturally in my own environment. And just being inspired by these different cultures, because my dad was the one, he would always take me and my sister to various festivals. We went to so many festivals over the
Wow,
years. I kind of got burned out for a little bit, but I started making my way back as an adult. But I will say that it did give me a foundation to seek other things and to be inspired and to see the beauty in so many different cultures and people, especially little gems that are here in the Bay Area that people, that I'm still discovering as an adult. Just little pockets of neighborhoods, little um concerts or festivals, or these coalitions of people who have been around for 30 years, and I never heard anything about them until last week, oh, I didn't know this organization even existed, and they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Like, what? They're amazing. People are doing so many amazing things here in the Bay Area, and I think just being open and looking for them, but also letting them find you in the midst.
Mhm, mhm. Andrea, can you also recall a time or many times perhaps that audiences have, um, uh, wanted to engage with your work and even, uh, tell you after seeing a show, like, "Can we take your classes?" Or give you feedback that stayed with you after you did a show?
Yes. There was a young woman maybe 3 years ago. I think it was after one of the early performances of the JUSTus piece.
Mhm,
She was like, I was so powerfully moved by this piece. Like, I would love to talk to you more. We did talk more after, and I invited her to come to my Afrofusion dance class that I was holding at the Beat in Berkeley.
mhm,
And she became like one of my like favorite students. I'm like, yes, like she would come all the time. She's like, "Ooh, what are we gonna do this week?" So, and unfortunately, she moved back to Washington D.C., where she was originally from. But we still keep in touch, on Facebook and stuff, trying to update each other on what's going on. But it was really nice that someone, felt so moved by my work that they actually wanted to come and be immersed and see
Mhm.
my like style and inspiration. And it's funny because sometimes some people who like, oh, I saw you, after, are other dancers who I've also seen their work. And I'm like, I want to work with you too. That's always the best to me. Like when it's somebody else who I've already been watching and I'm like, they're so great. And then they're like, no, you're so great. We're like, no, you're so great. And it's like so great to acknowledge others and to have them acknowledge you, and like just so much respect between people, and like so much excitement and joy to collaborate. And that's been one thing that I kind of steep my practice in is collaborations.
Mm.
Um, and whether that's with spoken word artists, live vocals,
Mhm.
environment, biblical text, poems, current events, whether it's collaborating with a person or a speech or a written word. Um, particularly connecting with someone who they had seen me perform at a church event, and they were like, "Oh, where else are you going to be?" And this time, this was
Mhm.
2018, or was it 2019? Years, these years be flying by.
Mhm.
uh 2018, um I was selected to be part of the Bulb Fest, and it takes place at it's an annual event that takes place at Albany Bulb, um, and it's an outdoor movement dance festival of sorts. And there's also art that different artists create, whether they're creating artwork out of found materials in the outdoor space, because it's kind of like a basin.
Mhm.
It's a very natural environment where there are lots of long winding roads, there's trees, there's rocks, and then there are some man-made materials from occupants who used to live there, some homeless folks um used to occupy that area, and some of the things that they've left behind as they've moved on or moved elsewhere. And being in that environment, I was selected to be a part of that show, and the area that was chosen for me was really, oh, it was so beautiful. And I actually use a little bit of video of that area in my piece called Terra Femme, which is about feminine environmentalism and that particular environment. The story that was told to me by the park manager who organized the event, she said there used to be a woman who lived there in that particular area, and she kind of made that area her home, where even though she, was living without shelter, she really made the most of her environment. She tried to keep things tidy. She would, hang her clothes like over the trees to dry, just as much as she could, kind of keep herself in an organized state and not to be left off. And eventually she was reconnected with her family, which I thought was very beautiful. And like she's doing much better now, has a job, is with her children. I'm like, well, that was so inspiring to me. And it's like there were times when we were in rehearsal in that space where I feel like I could hear her presence, like with the wind and with the trees. And part of that project had UC Berkeley students building swings off of the tree that was in our space. And it was just so much great connection between the students bringing their efforts, between myself and my dancer bringing our efforts, between this woman who had previously occupied and taken care of this tree and this land. It was such a beautiful connection and collaboration of spirits.
Mhm.
That's like one of my, whew, it was such a moment in time. And that was kind of the spark of that Terrafin piece, which has also been developed since then.
Mhm. I was curious because I saw Terrafem different pieces that you had up on YouTube, and I was curious about the root of the title of the show. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Um, because, well, Terra, means earth. and then femme is for the woman.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I feel that the woman who was there previously was sent there with a purpose to take care of this earth. And I feel that Mother Earth in general, um, she was kind of the focus of that piece. And it's Mother Earth kind of personified in a human flesh, and all the things that are happening to her that are man-made issues. And it's like we are her children, and we're bringing all this pollution and toxic dumping and building buildings and just disturbing her in general, disturbing her spirit. And it's like we have to get back to the natural. We have to get back to, at the very least, appreciation for the earth.
Yes.
So that's where that sparked that piece, and like being prompted to work in that environment, and working myself working more on site specific work.
Mhm. I love that.
hmm Interacting with that tree, like having the dancer like swing from the tree and go around it and hug it, and picking up the dirt around it and sprinkling seeds. And we actually had a basket of actual seeds, like flower seeds, because I'm like, I'm like, I want to give back to this environment because there's going to be so many of us like trampling in this area. It's like there's trails, but we have to give back. So we actually scattered actual seed during the performance. Um, and this was in April, so April showers. There was plenty of like
Mhm.
water days to come and like help move that soil along. And
Mm.
I went back maybe 8 or 9 months after, just so you start seeing the little seeds sprouting up, and I was just like, yay. I was like, I hope the spirit of that woman are in these seeds as well.
Mm. That is inspiring. I love how the depth of your work and process and site specific, and how you are embodying and your work is embodying what you are doing on so many levels, and like a consciousness level and a community level, and um, spirit environment level. And I'm just um, like I'm like, I want to find that tree.
You
um,
can find it. You can go there, whenever it's safe to do so.
right on, right on. um, I want to give you the opportunity to just sort of share, as we close, anything that you want to part with, anything you want to share with us.
um, there's so much. I would just say to people to continue to live in your truth, continue to create work, continue to consult with others, even if they're not working in your same genre. Because sometimes outside perspective can give you such an eye awakening, or it'll interrupt your thought process in a good way. There's no right or wrongs. There's there's so much freedom and creativity when you're open to it. And it's not necessarily that you have to take in everything, but just being open to other perspectives. And um you keep referring back to community, and I want to say, yes, community is awesome. I feel so blessed and privileged to be in the Bay Area, where there's such a humongous hub of community.
Mhm.
And because there are people in the community who are having to leave the Bay Area, which is very sad. And during these times, like not before corona, but just during these times financially, of course people have to do what's best for them. But it's like that energy that they brought with them will never leave. That creativity that they brought with them, that artistry that they brought with them, will never leave. And I will continue to be inspired by all the work that others are doing, and just trying to do my little bitty part to continue to make the Bay Area great, if you will. um and also just I hope to interact with as many people as possible. Um, I like to use folks who are non-dancers as well, so don't feel that you have to be a dancer or an artist in quotations to work with artists. There are a lot of people who are open to doing different things. That's how I've met so many various people being part of other people's work where they were looking for non-dancers, and I'm like, "Well, I'm going to try this to see, what's the process? What's this person's thought process and how they work, or I'm going to try this bachata class and I've never taken bachata or salsa ever." Just trying different things, reaching out to people. And I love when people write to me, like, "Oh, I saw this," or "Oh, what are you doing about this?" or "Oh, would you come talk to these children at the elementary school?" Yes, send whatever you feel. I love to talk to people, and clearly we all have time. Well, not we all, but most of us have time to now interact with each other in a more succinct way.
Fantastic. Andréa Spearman, thank you so much for your artistry, your commitment to working in collaboration and creating, and your excellence and your commitment and your heart. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I truly enjoyed being able to be a part of this recording, and to be selected by Amplify was such a proud moment. And it will happen. We're putting it in the air. It's in the thought process. It's in the works, in the papers, in the dialogues. It's going to happen. I truly look forward to bringing this piece and seeing other people's work. And previously, before I applied for this and read about it and went through the website, I had not even heard of such a 24-hour festival. I'm like, 24 hours? Whoa, like, yes. I'm like, we can do it though, because women rock. Like, let's do it. So
Yes.
thank you so much for allowing me to be a part.
You are so welcome. And we are so excited and thrilled to be able to showcase your work, not only on audio, but in the future when we get on the stage again for Amplify and seeing your work. Just, justice, just us.
Yes.
Justice, us. Um, and I also, now that I've wrapped my uh, head around correctly for the last time pronouncing your website, which is a Spearman and Co.org. So
Yeah.
thank you for helping us take up space on the air, Andrea. And thank you out there for folks listening. You can find Andrea Spearman's work on our social media page, Bay Area Women's Theater Festival. And her website is there, her social media, um, and also her PayPal and Venmo links. And please, if you can out there, make a donation of any size to further the work and the commitment that all of us are doing to create art. Amplify women's voices with us all. Thank you so much.